recording. It's 9:30 in the morning on Monday. This is our last 2.5 hours together. It's kind of sad to me. It's even sadder when we're actually physically together. Um, but here we are, our last 2.5 hours, and I think this is going to be a blast because we are going to answer your questions. And, whoops, you want to mute yourself, sweetheart? Um, so everybody can hear me loud and clear. You see my screen and everything. Whoop. Yeah, you need to mute face coughing. I'm going to mute you, sweetheart. There, she's muted. She's muted. Um, okay, so uh, okay, I'm not going to read those last questions there because I've got a lot of them, and if we have time, we'll get to the rest of your questions. A few of you just posted a few more questions. Um, okay, you guys ready? I'm going to start with some very, very basic things that are probably not obvious that I saw posted during the lectures, and some of you sent me emails. So let's dig into this. Okay, first thing I want to talk about is vibrational astrology. Is it a revolution? Because some of us, like myself, think that it is, and that might sound rather uh, bold, but it's what we feel. And let me give you some background for why we think vibrational astrology is in the early stages of being a huge revolution um, in astrology. Okay. No, I want this text here. This is supposed to be here. I have this here on purpose because I'm going to go through these points on the right side. Okay, so this this is going to help you follow what I'm saying. I put it on the right side because these goofy advertisements, and I'm going to refer to what's in the background as well. But I want this to be here. This is what I'm going to go through. Now, let me tell you why we think vibrational astrology is a revolution, and this will also help with understanding the whole idea of vibrational astrology. And we have to look at a little bit of history. So this might not seem relevant, but it is where vibrational astrology comes from to some extent. Number one, President Lyndon Johnson. What the heck does he have to do with vibrational astrology? Um, a lot, actually. Um, well, President Lyndon Johnson had this idea of a great society. Probably most of you know enough American history to know about that. He's going to make this great society. And among other things, he said, we're going to look at the school systems, the different schools. We're going to bring in professors to analyze scientifically and tell us what works in education. Very simple, very straightforward. He got the Congress to fund huge amounts of money to make a great society and find out what kind of education works. And so it was very exciting, very wonderful. There was a shock to the scientists and everybody else, which is they could not figure it out. The social scientists, the psychologists, the sociologists, the best professors, they hired, chairs of departments at prestigious universities. They poured money into this and they could not figure it out. The variables involved, they could not scientifically make it clear. A very simple question. And this sent ripples throughout the scientific community where people said, our scientific methods are not able to answer questions. Okay? Now, Daniel Stufflebeam, I think I spelled this wrong, Beam, kind of a strange name, and you probably never heard of him before. He's a very critical person. He was one of the professors trying to figure out what forms of education work and don't work, etc. And he was a great statistician and research methodologist. And what Stufflebeam decided is that the scientific methods are too rigid, they're too narrow, they're not open-minded enough, and we need to do more exploratory research. We need to just investigate things without assumptions and without stating a hypothesis when we don't even know how to ask it. We need to do a gentler, softer kind of research. You all following me? This is huge. The whole field of sociology, psychology, anthropology have changed. They are completely different from where they were in the 60s. Okay. Now, so what happened is they came up with a term, evidence-based. They said that instead of the fields of education, psychology, and sociology trying to be sciences, we're just going to be evidence-based. We're going to step down because science is not working, but we're not going to give up. And they developed this thing called evidence-based. Now it gets worse. You ready for this? I'm going to go up to point number 2. This is another shock that happens. There's a research institute called Rand Corporation. They're one of the most prestigious research institutes in the United States, actually global, very highly respected. They decided to see what doctors do. What happens when you go to a doctor? And how do they come up with their ideas? You know what they concluded? This was in the 1980s. In the 1980s, the Rand Corporation investigates what doctors do, and they conclude that medicine is not scientific. What doctors are telling you is not scientific. This is a shock. So toward the end of the 1980s, a group at Rand Corporation showed that large proportions of procedures performed by physicians were considered inappropriate even by the standards of their own experts. They're just making stuff up. They're putting the stethoscope on your heart, telling you to cough. Where the heck do these ideas come from? They're just passed down. There's very little scientific evidence for them. Now, I'm not making up anything. These are facts of the history of science. And they're facts that the media does not talk about, that people are not aware of. But 15 years ago, I went back to the university. I'm what they call ABD, all but dissertation. I took all the courses for PhD. I had a 3.7 out of 4.0 average. I did get the master's degree. I went through all this stuff. I attend research conferences. And this is, I can tell you, is talk to any professor of research methods and they will tell you that these are established facts. This is what's happening. Now, listen to this. I'm going to jump over here to 5. This is one of the tutorial videos online. Now listen to this quote. I believe this is from the Rand Corporation. Anyway, it's from the article at Wikipedia. Listen to this. Areas of professional practice such as medicine, psychology, psychiatry, rehabilitation, and so forth have had periods in their past where, and I put this in yellow highlight, practice was based on loose bodies of knowledge. Some of the knowledge was lore that drew upon the experiences of generations of practitioners, and much of it had no valid scientific evidence on which to justify practices. That is medicine in the 1980s, as well as many other fields. It sounds like astrology. Isn't this what we do? Some of the knowledge is lore, drew upon the experiences of generations of practitioners, but no solid evidence, and for the same reason that medicine does not have solid evidence, because it's too hard to figure out what actually causes the common cold. Are you all following me? The point is this: science has changed. Social sciences, they are no longer scientific. They've given up on science, meaning we're going to find out exactly what connects to what, and they decided, we're going to be evidence-based. Evidence-based means we don't know. We don't know what causes a cold. We don't know if vitamin C is going to help or not. We really don't know. But this is the best that we have. And even if we don't know, we're just going to use the best we have. It's very pragmatic and practical and humble. We're not just going to use what people passed down from the past. We'll review the research, and we'll also change our research. We're no longer going to do hypothesis tests and try to prove something. We're going to do things like big data. We're going to look at what's in the databases. We're going to do qualitative research. We're going to pick out extreme people. You know what they're doing in genetics now? In genetics research, one of the big hot areas is called, let's see if I can remember the name of it. I have a video on it. By the way, we can go to YouTube and we could type phenotype sampling and astrology, David Cochrane's astrology, because I think I have a video on this. And here it is. So one of the videos is called Using a Genetics Research Method in Astrology. Now, it's called extreme phenotype sampling. It's a very hot, exciting area of research in genetics. I emailed the people who wrote the academic papers, and I corresponded with them. And I told them, I'm doing the same thing you're doing in astrology with some slight variations. Do you think what I'm doing makes sense? And I got a response from Professor Bjornlund, one of the leading researchers in this field, and she emailed me and she said, Dear Mr. Cochrane, I am so glad to see you applying the concepts of extreme phenotype sampling to your investigations into what we can call the fringe area of astrology. Yes, the method you are using makes excellent sense, and I'm very glad to hear that you are sharing this with your students and colleagues. So this is the extreme case sampling that we're using. My point is this, that the whole field of science, even genetics, is now using tricks, using little clever ways to go through databases, pull out the extreme cases, and try to build a model. Vibrational astrology is functioning identically to medicine, genetics, psychology, in that we are evidence-based. Evidence-based is not rigorously scientific. We don't know with extreme confidence, but we know much, hundreds of times better than what we think we know by just doing charts of clients. You all follow that? I'm not asking you to agree or disagree. I'm just telling you some shocking news. The shocking news is that vibrational astrology is already mainstream, already supported by geneticists, leading physicists, and research methods experts. We are communicating with these people, and they're very excited about what we're doing. And why are we doing this? Not because we want to go mainstream, not because we want to appease science. We're doing it because it tells us how astrology works. I just want to know how astrology works. So academia embraces VA. I can tell you a funny story about a conversation I had with a keynote speaker. Maybe I'll skip that. It's a funny little anecdotal story. But another example of leading scientists excited about what we're doing in vibrational astrology. Does it make sense? Do you feel why we feel that this is a revolution? We use databases and they confirm what we're doing with our clients. We work with our clients. It inspires what we find in our databases. The researchers get together. Clarissa mentioned the triad, Clarissa, Linda, and me. I don't know how many dozens of hours we were on the phone sorting through the data, figuring it out. We just want to know. We don't care about anybody's assumptions. We just want to know. And so far, it's the vibrational astrology model that's working. Now, if we can incorporate ideas from Hellenistic, from Vedic, if whole sign houses are really better, we have ways to test these things. We go through the database, we confirm, we apply it. It's not my opinion versus your opinion. It's an evidence-based approach. You all follow this? We think we are in a revolution. A revolution. Astrology is now transformed into something different. Okay. Now, other forms of astrology may continue to be strong as well, but there's no stopping this at this point. The support from academia is huge, and slowly astrologers are finding out about it. Okay, I just wanted to give you that general background information. And let me mention this one additional thing, and then I'm going to go on to your specific questions. Another big part of the revolution are the YouTube videos. Anything you want to know, almost anything you want to know is in the YouTube videos. So if you want to know, say interpret birth charts with vibrational astrology. And you can always put David Cochrane's astrology after it. That's the name of my YouTube thing. And then you can see if there are videos about it. Natal chart interpretation with vibrational astrology. An introduction. Done 1 year ago. 30 minutes. And the videos are better than articles because you see, experience how it's done. How to interpret a birth chart using vibrational astrology. Birth chart of Marilyn Monroe. What is vibrational astrology? There are so many videos. There's, I think, 340 now. That you can go through and learn everything. Some people said, well, what are the meanings of the planets? Let's see if there's a YouTube video. Meanings of planets in vibrational astrology, and I'll just put David Cochrane's astrology. I'm trying to make at least one video a week. I'm going to get up to 2 videos a week by the end of this year. We plan to have thousands of them, and here they are. Meaning of the sun, moon, and planets in vibrational astrology. Meanings of planets and planet pairs. It's all here. Endless, almost endless amounts of information, and I'm only at 340 videos. The goal is to easily have over 1,000. And not only vibrational astrology, other areas. Videos on what primary directions are, how they work. So this is an enormous free resource, and our goal is to document, explain, and present everything free. This is part of the revolution. Okay, all right. And then, of course, there are all the other resources. Clarissa and Linda are teaching online. The Association of Vibrational Astrologers is developing the annual conference for the latest discoveries and breakthroughs. Okay, so let me now dive into some of your specific questions. Okay, are we good? Did all that make sense? Did my little, rant there, I hope it makes sense. I hope it clarifies some things about what vibrational astrology is. It's not just a set of techniques. Okay. Now, let me answer some of the questions you guys posted step by step here. How do you get basic vibrational astrology info from the Sirius program? There are some features in the Sirius program that will help. There's something called a harmonic highlights report. There are some different things. But really, the Sirius software provides the calculations in a way that's useful. Also, Linda's frequency finder option is another thing that helps us get the information for students and professional vibrational astrologers. But we do not have a lot of features or really any powerful features that are going to help explain it out. We do not have a natal vibrational astrology interpretation report that's anywhere even remotely close to what you can learn by watching a few of these videos. So right now the software primarily provides the information for students and professionals. There are some helpful hints along the way, but the best way to proceed is to watch the videos, take Clarissa or Linda's classes, as the Association of Vibrational Astrologers develops, stay in touch with the information that's presented there. There will be a journal eventually. So that's really the best way to proceed. The videos, the courses, and also there will be more and more books. I am writing. I only do it when I'm like traveling or something. A book. It's kind of like
I have one finished. It's finished, just needs to be edited and it will be published soon.
Okay, so we will have one of the first textbooks of vibrational astrology that I'm writing come out. Linda Berry has written a beautiful book on aspects, interpreting aspects using vibrational astrology. So the books are already coming out. Linda's book has been out for a few years. It's a beautiful reference book. So there are lots of materials. But going into the Sirius software and having it explain vibrational astrology interpretations, it really is not there yet. It's mainly to provide the information like I showed last night with the astromaps. But all of these things, meanings of the planets, there are beautiful, clear YouTube videos on all this stuff. Meanings of planet pairs, meanings of vibrations. There are also some excellent free online articles. If we go to astrosoftware.com, so go to astrosoftware.com, go over here to articles and videos, click on articles, and there are some excellent articles here that you can read about different research projects, different insights, dozens of them. And here's the free online book. This is fantastic on the meanings of the first 32 harmonics. So our idea is to make the information as free, easy, and accessible as possible. The software is not inexpensive, but everything else is being put out there for people to use and work with. And then if you want personal training, we have Clarissa and Linda, and soon other vibrational astrologers will begin offering their courses as well. Okay, so it's a revolution. Yes, the YouTube videos are huge, huge. Thousands and thousands and thousands of hours. Each video I make is about a half hour long. It takes me 3 or 4 hours to make it. It's huge. It's almost overwhelming. So this is part of the revolution. Okay? And people say thank you, you're welcome, but really it's just what I do. My whole adult life is trying to figure out what astrology is. I really don't care about much else. Um, so, this is what we want to do. We want to figure this out, and it's a community that figures it out. Now that we have a community, it's moving very fast. Okay, so recommendations on how to approach the YouTube videos. There's two ways to do it. One is if you click on my name, David Cochrane's Astrology, you can go through in the order. So there's here popular uploads, introductory and intermediate astrology lessons. This has nothing to do with VA. It's just normal, straightforward, modern astrology. Here's the software. Anything you want to know about the software, we have videos if you want to create your own interpretations, customize wheels, videos on everything. Each one of these is a series of videos. We're making all this available. I consider it the most important part of the software is actually free, which is what all of this stuff is about. Here's another section, modern ancient methods. Here's relocational astrology, special topics, but you can go right here. Harmonic astrology, vibrational astrology, and symmetrical astrology. You can watch all of these videos. Start with the first one. 3 videos on how to interpret a natal chart. 6 videos on the meanings of planets and planet pairs. 14 videos on the theory, which is not actually essential to use it, but it's fascinating. 5 videos on how to interpret harmonic charts. 13 on meanings of the harmonics. 3 on midpoints, and it goes on and on and on. All of it is free. Then I go in and I show you what makes a rock star with no cherry picking, rigorous research, and what makes great athletes. So 12 of the greatest athletes of all time. So this can keep you busy for years, just this section of information. As you apply it, study it, absorb it, we are creating a massive information system to make all this available and free and to get people excited about it. We don't advertise it. We don't stand up and say, look at me. I'm not really into that kind of stuff. It's just we're together. You guys have invested the time and money and effort and sacrifice. You're obviously motivated and interested. And so I open up to the people who come into vibrational astrology. But I'm not going to walk around and tell people vibrational astrology is the greatest revolution. No way. I just sit quietly.
Well, our followers will help us promote it. You're just not a promoter.
Yeah, yes, and that's what's happening.
Screaming for it. You may not be doing it. We will scream for
That's true. Some of you are not as shy as I am. Um, and also, it works better when the founder of a system stands up and says, I've discovered the astrology of the future, a white male from New York. I don't think it goes over very well. So I think that when the other leading astrologers do it, um, it just comes across more sincere. So and they are doing it. But with the personal family who comes in, I'm telling you that this is exciting, to put it mildly. So
yeah.
this is
Maybe we should answer questions now. We're running out of time.
yes. Okay, I'm going to focus on the questions. Let me go through this. So questions on how to get information on series. I've answered this, the YouTube videos, the online classes. Okay, let me get to this question later. Let me scroll down to this one. Um, is there online help with research? So if you want to conduct research and pursue it, how do you get going? Well, number one, you now know about the YouTube videos. I have a series of about 20 videos, maybe 30 now, on how to do research. You can watch the videos. The other thing is we have a research group, inner circle of vibrational astrologers who do research. We actually have 2 groups. Linda Berry's leading the group to help present information to people. I'm also the research director for ESAR, and ESAR is taking a very strong, proactive steps to promote understanding of research. So, for example, at the next ESAR conference in outside Denver, Colorado, I think it's in September, I'm giving a lecture at the beginning of the opening day in a big hall that fits 200 people, explaining what evidence-based astrology is. And we also do a presentation every 3 months online. So these are different resources for finding out what's going on with research. But Linda does lead a group, a once a month meeting to help share ideas on research. So there are some things to help with it. Next question. I'm just going to go through questions and answer here. Next question. And if my answer is not very good or doesn't really answer your question, just post it again. Next question. In Giselle's presentation, she showed the graphs of what vibes are strong, like Jupiter Uranus was strong in 11, 22, 33. But there were other peaks in the graph that we did not pay attention to. So there might have been a peak on 29, for example, showed up a few times. Why is it that we looked at some of the peaks and not the others? This is a very good question, okay? And let me explain why. When I was at the university taking those courses, one of the areas I specialized in was data mining. And there are a lot of rules for data mining. And essentially, this exploratory research that Giselle did is a form of data mining. We're going through data, trying to mine, trying to extract some understanding. Basically, data mining means you have a lot of data. Can I look at the data and extract what's going on? And a lot of it is based on the expertise of the investigator. It is evidence-based, which means it is not rigorously scientific. It is not some like rock solid proof of something. It's trying to make sense of something that does not make sense. Do you guys follow me? Because if you took psychology back in the 70s and 80s, and some of the universities have been slow to change, their idea of science is completely different from what we do nowadays. Completely different. Most of it is exploring, looking for themes. And there are very specific rules. One of the big rules in data mining is do not arbitrarily select everything you see. Huge mistake. Huge. It's one of the big things that beginners do. They see a peak. Oh, 29 is high. I'm going to use that. Oh, this is high. I'm going to use that. No. You get nowhere doing that. You have to look at things that are consistent and make some sense according to some theory. So if we see peaks at 11, 22, 33, 44 with Jupiter Uranus, we already know, so to speak, we're already very confident that these vibrations cause mania. They cause people to be explosively exuberant. This is fundamental vibrational astrology. Then we look at the data and it peaks right there. Let me give you an analogy. Suppose you did the charts of actors and actresses, and they all had sun and moon in Leo. You would go, wow, this is exactly what I expected. The problem is actors and actresses do not have planets in Leo more than other groups. So you look for something that you think is going to make sense, and the data almost never confirms it. But in vibrational astrology, the things we expect usually do show up. So we're looking at the configurations, the aspects and so on, that make sense and that are extremely consistent. If Jupiter Uranus is high in 11 and 44, but not 22, there's something wrong. Either our vibrational astrology theory is wrong, or it's just a blip in the data. Because according to vibrational astrology, you shouldn't skip an octave. It should start somewhere and end somewhere. That's how our theory works. So we look for results that are consistent with theory. If you're really interested, I can email you guys a series of academic videos on data mining, and the greatest experts in data mining explain exactly what I'm describing. It's part of how the research is done. So, I did more than all of the college course requirements for a PhD. I had a 3.7 out of 4.0 average. I go to the conferences. I pal around with the professors who are way more brilliant at this than I am. And so this is how it really works. Does it make sense? Yeah. So yeah, just email me that you want the links. Maybe that'll remind me. I'll just email everybody. They're very technical. They're very hardcore videos. From Stanford and other top-ranking universities and major research meetings. It's not light stuff, but I will send you the links for anybody who's interested, and explains exactly what I explained in simple terms. These are fundamental, essential parts of data mining. So in order to create this revolution, I had to develop expertise in how the research is done, and I am eternally grateful to the University of Florida and all of the professors. They are amazing, and they guided me through this, very supportive of the astrology. They're incredibly brilliant. Um, and I worked night and day, and they loved it. And then I would help them debug their programs, which they really liked because of my programming expertise. Okay, so, all right. That answers that question. Why do we skip over some of the high points? So these are things, that come up later. Yeah, so one of you, Scott will email me a reminder, and then I'll send you links to those data mining videos. Again, they're very heavy stuff, but if you can follow it, that's what they're saying. Okay. Here's a good question that was asked. Giselle answered it actually, and I'll answer it again. This question here: why do Giselle's findings regarding bipolar disorder? Her finding is basically that bipolar is caused by Saturn introversion. By the way, Saturn is not restriction in vibrational astrology. Saturn is separation. Anyway, that's a kind of a technical detail. But Saturn separates, Saturn in 7 vibration isolates, and that isolation becomes extreme and makes it difficult for the person to connect in a healthy, normal way. And it was very interesting in the research. We didn't know what to expect, but bipolar astrologically is literally bipolar. The person has one extreme isolated introverted thing and then an extreme mania like a Jupiter-Uranus 11 vibration, and they're not able to bring them together. It's just amazing that it's quite literal. The astrology is quite literally bipolar. Now, what does it suggest for therapy? Okay, Giselle is a marriage and family therapist. She's a total professional, and she works with psychiatrists and, very top level stuff. She's not going to speculate a lot. This is how the professional world works. We have things that we expect, but until she has 20 or 30 cases of bipolar and works with them in various ways and start to develop the data on the application. Right now, the focus has been on what is the astrological configurations associated with bipolar. Now we're just beginning to start to think about how we apply this for therapy. But let me tell you the common sense answer and what I expect. I have very clear expectations. We'll find out if they're correct. Vibrational astrology is inherently therapeutic. I think it was about 10 years ago I gave a lecture opening address to the organization in Australia, and the title of the lecture was something like Astrology is Inherently Therapeutic. Astrology, at least vibrational astrology, does not tell us what people are. It tells us how energy wants to move. And we do not block the energy. So the therapy is likely to end up something like this. We see Jupiter Uranus in 13 vibration, and the person thinks that they are Buddha or Jesus Christ or something else because of this flamboyant 13 vibration. There is actually a truth to the statement. We have to anchor it to reality. So the therapy is going to be something like, yes, you are Buddha. And you know what? So am I. And so is she. And we are really exalted beings, and you have this ability to feel it. So we would try to take that energy and make it not delusional and bring out the truth in it. This is what we do with our clients. We try to bring out the highest potential. And the person is actually correct. They are enlightened. Um, and we all are. So we just have to lift them up to something that's not delusional, defensive. Um, there's with Giselle's clients, there's always childhood trauma. That's twisting things and sending it off into extremes. So it could be a very delicate process, and it might not be as simple as what I described. And if the process is not done just right, it could exacerbate the problem. It's very, very delicate. And so that's why Giselle said, we're going to have to see exactly. But we know what the goal is. The goal is to get the truth of that astrology chart correct. If the person has Mercury, Uranus, Mars in 44 vibration, remember one of the symptoms of bipolar is racing thoughts. Their thoughts are racing, they're screaming, they're going nuts, they can't control themselves. We're going to have to find out what works. Maybe a mega vitamin, B vitamins, who knows, will help that energy still race, but race effectively. So we know what the idea of the therapy is, but when you're dealing with people who are not like anybody you tend to see walking the streets, these people are really extreme. It's a very delicate process. But we know the basic therapy is to get the person in tune with the energy flow. You do not fight the energy flow, you enhance it and develop it. It's always the therapy, and it's what we do with all of our clients. Does that make sense? But again, when you get to something this critical, we need professionals. We need Giselle. We need other professionals who work with this and understand it. If I start dealing with something like this, just like when when Giselle was going crazy with the research methods, David, I'm going to call her up and say, Giselle, you've got to help me. I've got something that looks like real bipolar here. I'm out of my league. I could damage this person. Help. Does it make sense? Okay. So we are heading into a revolution. We're heading into a revolution where things are evidence-based, where we have top-level expertise in different areas, and we rely on each other and we work together. It's so exciting. But we have to be careful. We have to be professional. Um, I will tell you this, there's talk of starting a university of astrology, a college of astrology. There is nothing to stop it. The college, the departments of education at the state level totally support this. They do not support astrology as we do it now. That, oh, you take the ruler of the ascendant, you do this. How the heck do you know that? What evidence-based approach did you use? How did you confirm it? Da 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 da. It can't be lore passed down. That lore might be true, but it will not fly academically. We've already been told we'll all go if we want to go there. Okay. Kepler College did not do an evidence-based approach. We're already approved and moving if we want to create a college. It's a completely different approach. Does everybody follow that? And the reason we're doing this is because I happen to agree. That's all. I'm not trying to impress anybody. This is how I think, the same way the academics think. And my God, they love vibrational astrology. They just say to me, man, you're creating a new technology. You're creating a new field of psychology. I hope it succeeds. I hope you're not running off into some disaster. But if you are, at least we'll find out. Okay. There's more excitement about this from academia than from astrologers. Okay. Not because they think it works, but because they respect the process. Okay. And we'll find out if it works. All right. Now, next question. We need to take a break soon. I think. When did I start? 9:30? Oh, no. We're going to take a break after over an hour. We've got another little while here before we need to take a break. Next question. Are there signatures that indicate receptivity to therapy? Everything is receptive to therapy. In vibrational astrology, that's all we're seeing is therapy. You're seeing how energy wants to flow. So therapy is built into everything we're analyzing because we're seeing how energy wants to flow. As I said before, the big problem is how to do it in a delicate, sensitive way so we don't push things too fast and make it worse in the case of extreme cases like bipolar. Now, this is a good question. Do we relate the harmonic chart to the natal chart? Because there's this idea, we're looking at harmonic charts, and how does that relate to the natal chart? Let me explain something about this. The main thing I want to emphasize, I'm going to bring up some natal charts and harmonic charts in a second to demonstrate this. Just to keep it simple, I'll just pull up my own chart. I'm just going to clear all this and pull up this chart. Now I can do, if I right click on my chart wheel and I go to customize and I go to aspects and I go to septiles, it tells me that Venus is in a septile aspect to Jupiter. That means a 1/7, 2/7, or 3/7. And Mars is in, it looks like the same distance, a 1/7, 2/7, or 3/7 to Pluto, right? Those are aspects in the natal chart. Why do I have a harmonic chart? Harmonic charts are not real. They're not real charts. This chart that we're looking at, I'm going to go ahead and save this. This is the only chart. All the harmonic chart does for me is help me see what is in the natal chart. I'm going to say it again. The harmonic chart is not real. It's not like a real chart. This is the only thing that's in the sky at the moment I was born. This is the only real chart. Okay? I'm almost tempted to say it a third time. The harmonic chart is not real. It's a tool to help you see what's here. You all get that? So when you ask a question like, should I relate the harmonic chart to the natal chart? The question actually does not make sense. It's a beautiful question, by the way. It's a brilliant question. It's the kind of question I love, but it makes no sense at all because the harmonic chart is the natal chart. It's a way of seeing, better stated, it's a way of seeing what's in the natal chart. This is the chart. When I was born, 3 degrees Aries was rising, sun was at 10 degrees Taurus. That's where the planets were. They were not distributed in all these crazy harmonic charts. Now, so why do I have a harmonic chart? The reason I have it is because if I don't right-click, go to Customize, go to Aspects, and select Septiles, if I just go back to normal aspects, I have no idea that Venus is 2/7 Jupiter and Mars is 2/7. I cannot see it. And furthermore, it gets way more complicated than that, is this. Divide the circle into sevenths, and you get planets connected in a quiet, introverted way. A sustained, introverted way of life. Quiet, simple, sustained, good focus and concentration, tends to be deep, can develop maturity. What if I divide the circle again, divide into 14? So you have 7 people at a party, and you have a pizza, and you divide it into 7 equal pieces. If there were 14 people at the party, each slice would be half as big. You would take each one of the 7 slices and cut it in half again, right? If I have 7 people at a party, I make 7 equal slices of pizza. I have 14, suppose 7 more show up. I go, whoa, that made it easy. This is so easy, I'll just cut each slice in half again. Excuse me. So what happens is, when you divide the circle by 7, 14, or 28, or 56, the meaning is basically the same. It just goes deeper and more inner. So if I take 2 planets that are opposition each other, let me change this to a nicer aspect set. Okay. When 2 planets are squared to each other, 90 degrees, we call it a hard aspect. If they're half a circle, we call it a hard aspect. If we take half of a square and it's 45 degrees, it's a hard aspect. So the quality remains the same. So I want to know not only what planets are sevenths, but also 14ths, 28ths, etc. And if I go to the 7 vibration chart, it will show me that my Venus and Jupiter are conjunct very tightly, means they are in a 7 vibration to each other. So it turns the 7 vibrations into conjunctions, it turns 14 vibrations into oppositions, and so on. And my Mars, Pluto are also 2/7. I just showed that in the natal chart. And they square each other, means they're in 28ths to each other. This is a very, very strong pattern, and is similar to what people think of as Taurus, which I have a lot of. It's extremely determined and persistent to an extreme. It's also rather ascetic, because Venus, Jupiter means big, Venus means beauty, Venus, Jupiter means big, great beauty and opulence, and 7 is introverted and quiet and dislikes that quality. 7 vibrations, very Saturnian. And so I am an ascetic, and people look at my chart and they see all of the Taurus, and they think, oh, he loves money and he runs businesses. It's completely ridiculous and absurd. It's the last thing on my mind ever. And part of that is because Venus and Jupiter are in 7 vibration, which you might say uh, kills the flamboyance and opulence of Venus Jupiter and makes it introverted. Does make an interest in high quality excellence, like excellent craftsmen, perfect wood, things like that. Um, but having a big car or something is like, what the heck for? Now you got to get it fixed. What a waste of time. Um, so, um, the vibrational chart is just showing me what is in the birth chart, but I cannot see all of these beautiful, intricate, delicate patterns. And the 7 vibration chart, for example, shows me not only 7 vibration, but all vibrations built off of it. And then you just look at it, you go Venus, Jupiter, square Mars, Pluto. Oh, this guy's a bulldozer, man. You know, when I play tennis, you know how I win? I wear down my opponent. My stamina is tremendous. Anyway, it's what you get with this kind of things. So, does it make sense to answer that question? And you know, vibrational astrology is really simple. It's so simple. It's way simpler than anybody thinks. But it's a perfect question. It's an excellent question. Beginners often ask the very best questions. And this is an extremely important question. I'm glad you asked it. Okay. Does that make sense to everybody? Just clearing things up. We're covering a lot of territory. I've been talking only for an hour. We've learned about what vibrational astrology really is, how it's part of the whole evidence-based movement of modern times, how the excitement, enthusiasm in academia is there, how it's ready to move into universities. Um, well, not we could create our own university. It will not move into universities until other universities until the research is solid. That'll take at least many decades. Excuse me. Okay, next question. What settings did I use last night for astromaps? I just used the defaults. I did not customize anything. So if I'm going to go to maps, you go to astromap. It's the default settings. If you want to know about a specific place, like why am I in Gainesville, Florida? I can just put Gainesville, Florida in, select no orbs, just lines, zoom in all the way, click OK, and see what kinds of lines are near Gainesville. And then I can click on Gainesville. When you click on it, you can get a wheel, you can get distance, you can get an interpretation, and I can see exactly what aspects and midpoint structures there are and exactly what the orbs are. Okay. All right. So I think, Naomi, that answers your question. It's really just using the default settings are already fine. And when you want to see themes, you go to the treasure map. So if I want to see what's a nice romantic place for me in Florida, I can also, by the way, go over here. Wait, where did it go? Oh, chart to compare to. And if I have Faye's chart entered, I could put Faye in here and I can find out a romantic getaway spots for me and Faye. I'll do my planets to Faye's cusps and and vice versa, and you can see perfect spots for couples. How cool is that? Um, This, you can, if you want to know more about it, what do? Go to YouTube, go to the videos. I have on relocational astrology 9 plus 4 plus 2 videos on relocational astrology, and there are videos that explain all of this in detail and how you put couples and everything else. So it's an endless amount of information that's there, and then we'll have the Association of Vibrational Astrologers, so you can just watch the videos and then meet together with the other people in the club. You don't even have to pay for courses or anything else. Um, so there's so much happening that's available. But this is a kind of the foundation, all of these videos. Starting in September, I'm hoping to make 2 a week. I have ideas for 600 or 700 other videos just off the top of my head that are all very important. If Faye wants me to pull this up right now, okay, sweetheart, we'll do it after 12 noon. She's thinking it's about time. All right. Um, okay. Uh, let's go to the next question. I hope I'm answering your questions well. Here's a good one. True node or mean node? Now, what's really amazing is how many videos I have made. Let's try true node. I mean, you can type in almost anything. True node versus mean node, David Cochrane. Let's see if I made a video about it. The moon's mean node and true node. There it is, 19 minutes long. You can watch this video. It's 19 minutes long and it will answer your question. And the answer is, this goes into 19 minutes of detail on it, but the answer is we use the true node. Okay, we use the true node. Hold on, I'm messing everything up here. We use the true node. And if you watch the video, it explains that the mean node is not even a mean node. The mean node is a misnomer. It is not a mean node. Mean means average. It is not the average position of the moon's node. It's averaged out in some wacko way that makes no sense astronomically at all. Now, there was some debate about whether the true node is actually true. Is the true node the actual intersection point of the ecliptic plane and the plane of the moon? And some astronomers debated this. It's a very complicated question, believe it or not. It's very complicated because the moon's path is constantly changing. And anyway, it's a complicated question. And I actually solved it using spherical trigonometry. And I mathematically proved using spherical trigonometry that the moon's node is, in fact, the actual intersection point of the ecliptic plane and the path of the moon. And I explain that mathematical proof. We do use the word proof for mathematics, not for research, in that video. Okay, so when I have nothing else to do, I prove things using spherical trigonometry. I mean, what else is there to do? Okay, so the true node is the correct, it is the actual intersection point. The mean node is not a mean node. I explained that in the video. And we use the true node. And when I finally did that analysis using the spherical trigonometry, I was thrilled because I wasn't sure how it's accurate within under a minute. Accuracy is probably better than a minute, but it's definitely accurate within a minute. Okay. And on the subject of nodes, what works best, helio or geocentric? We have not done, oh, we have done. Yes, we have. We've done some research on planetary nodes. So if you go to planetary nodes, David Cochrane on YouTube, you will find Interpreting Planetary Nodes in Astrology Part 1 and Part 2. Now, and we've come up with some conclusions, not complete, but so far it looks like the helio node works. I'm not sure about the geo nodes. Now, why do I have to do research? Why do I think my research is so important? Why don't I just read what all the astrologer experts who've been using nodes, I do read what they say. And I read Mark Jones, he's brilliant on his work with the nodes. I study it. We have our other researchers, they find other books. We read, we study, we analyze. Naomi is a great expert in planetary nodes as well. So I get together with her and I say, no, Naomi, tell me what you're doing. We use that. But we also want to do our extreme case sampling study. We want to take the person who has Venus conjunct the Venus node with the smallest orb, take the top 3 or 4, and see if we can make sense of it. Until we do an extreme case sampling study, we don't have a data-driven idea. We need to confirm it with a data-driven approach. Does that make sense to everybody? So the data-driven approach does not replace the wisdom of Naomi Bennett or Mark Jones or any other, or Charles Jane or any of the other brilliant astrologers working in this area. We just want to validate what Naomi and Mark Jones and uh, Charles Jane and anybody else says about the nodes using a data-driven approach, which means there's no cherry picking. And the person who has Venus conjunct the Venus planetary node with the smallest orb, they must have some kind of conspicuous Venus thing going on. What is it? And then we can confer with experts like Naomi and Mark Jones and confirm that did my approach make sense to you? But we don't want cherry-picked data. We don't want only our own personal experience. We need to confirm it with a data-driven approach. That's how it works. Okay. All right. Does it make sense, guys? And anybody can do the research. As you saw from the research we do, it's huge. Doing real research, um, you know, just as an example, um, Glenn Mitchell, who will be speaking next year, he's a data scientist at the Florida State University, works for the university in a research institute. And in one of my correspondences, he says, do people have any idea of how much work is involved in doing research? It was a rhetorical question. And I responded and said, of course not. They have no idea. They have no idea. They couldn't even imagine. It takes time to go through the data, analyze it. You can't skip any charts, confer with colleagues, etc. But it's worth the effort. It's worth the effort. Okay. We're getting close to break time. Let's see, we're going 9:30, 2.5 hours after an hour and 15 minutes. Yeah, I'll go for another 5 minutes and we'll take a 10-minute break. Let me go up to a question I skipped. Here's a good question. On Bill Meridian's work, I feel like the financial markets are very diversified in terms of products, and it is people, for the most part, that make the markets go. Bill mentioned that people involved in the market share some common astrological characteristics. The chart that Bill casts for the market on a given day is really the transit for that point in time. So my question is this: why not look at how transits impact the charts of market players? I realize the Sirius database probably does not have a lot of market players, so that would be a problem. But at least in theory, if we have big movers and shakers, George Soros and other people who have tremendous investments and power and influence. Maybe we should be looking at what's going on in the chart of George Soros. I don't know much about economics, one of the only names that I know probably. But the big players, should we do this? The answer is absolutely yes. Yes. If we're going to make progress in financial astrology, we need to be doing things like that. And why am I so sure of it? From the work we've done in politics. Um, I have repeatedly been able to pick who's going to do better than expected in elections and so on. And what I found out doing the political work that's very clear is that there are different energetic systems going on simultaneously, just like there are different groups of people. So there are like little groups. Like this might be a group of um, speculators or something. And this might be a group of people who are involved in technology and making advances. Bill mentioned he goes to these corporations, he talks to the people. What are they inventing and discovering? They have their own little world of robotics and what they're doing. And what we found out is if you go into some group of people who are working on robotics or who nanotechnology or whatever, and you get their birth data, you will see clear, powerful planetary configurations with Mercury, Mars, Saturn, Uranus in some vibration, and they all overlap with each other. And when the transits cross it, they start announcing things. So to better predict what happens, we need to see the movers and the shakers, the people making the discoveries, the people marketing the discoveries. We found this in the elections, that right now, in the current time period, there are a lot of 13 vibration transits going on. Politics has changed into 13 vibration land. I knew it was coming, it was obvious. But at the same time, within the Democratic Party, it's like this red circle. The Democrats have their own strong fabric built on 9 vibration. It's incredibly strong and powerful. Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, Joe Biden, you can go right down the list. All of their charts are tied together in a 9 vibration that's unbelievable. Unbelievable. And the Obama-Biden connection is incredible. So I had predicted that even if Obama remains kind of professional and outside the thing, the Obama-Biden connection is going to help Biden win a lot of votes because all of the Democrats who are connected to that sense of community, that sense of bonding, that sense of acceptance, they're part of a club. It's a huge club. It's a huge, powerful, integrated network. So the Democrats have their 9 vibe thing, and Biden will run on the coattails of Obama, and that's what happened in a lot of the voting. At the same time, the 13 vibe people, which is Trump and Bernie Sanders in different ways, and AOC are going to come in with their 13 vibe and they're going to shake everything to the core. So to do good economic forecasting and political forecasting and other things, we would actually have to be able to study the charts of people in all these different collectives, just like Giselle is an expert in mental and emotional illness, and Bill is an expert in financial world and the political world. Somebody like Bill can go in there if we have enough data and put it all together. And basically, he's already doing this. This is what he's doing already. And he's looking at the eclipses and he's looking at what's going on with these charts. And it takes that level of investigation to do it. And that's why right now, economic forecasting is done by people like Bill Meridian, who's analyzing all these charts, knows a lot of these people, sees all the interactions, and can assess it and evaluate it. So that's a long answer to a simple question. But yes, that's what Bill is already doing. And, if you spend your whole life dedicated to something on the inside of it, like he does, you find you have all this data and information to organize. But it's not as simple as just looking at the transits in the sky. No way. There's this complex interaction of systems. That's why we like to do research on individuals with bipolar disorder, or the greatest athletes, or the rock musicians. It's way, way simpler. We can find the rules very quickly. When we get into complex social networks, it's very difficult to unravel the threads. Does that make sense? So we can take what we can learn from simpler situations and apply it. And Bill says it sure is. Bill is taking on a jungle. We're all taking on a jungle. Um, but through a lifetime of dedication, and his knowledge of history and everything else is phenomenal. And that's what it takes. That's what it takes. Um, but over time, we figure these things out. Okay, now we're at break time. Let's take a 10-minute break. And what I'd like you to do is your questions scrolled off the screen. I think I've answered all the questions I had. So during the 10-minute break, post your questions again. Just post them there. I'll come back in 10 minutes and we'll go through as many as we can. Sound good? I think this is fun. Whole new world of stuff. Okay, guys, so it is, according to my clock, 48 minutes. Let's take a full 10-minute break, okay? Full 10 minutes. I'll be back at 58 minutes after the hour. Okay, let's go ahead and take a full 10 minutes to let your brain, let the smoke clear a little bit, and we'll come back into this. Okay. I'll see you in 10 minutes. I'm going to just hang out here and write some of your questions. Okay, maybe I'll just do that. Well, these are such great questions and ideas. Astro signature for 3-planet transits. So Shane, astro signature for 3-planet transits. Why does it give composite? Why does what give composite, Shane? I'm not sure what you're asking. I get you want to know about astro signatures for 3 planets. Progress to natal. Oh, I think I know what you're talking about. Are you saying, Shane, when you go into the astro signature forecast? So if I go into forecast, astro signature forecast, and go to this, No, no, I'm in the wrong place. Sorry. I go to forecast. Yeah, astro signature forecast graph, main, and then I go to customize. And if I go to progress to natal, I can do progressed, natal. I can also do composite. Is this what you're asking about? Like, what is all this about? Is that what you're asking, Shane? I'm not sure if I understand where you are in the program. If I go to 3-planet harmonic, progress to natal, and I have a choice of natal, progress, composite, this one. Okay, cool. I found out where you are. Okay. Okay, well, that's a very specific question, which is cool. I'll just put here selections in astro signature forecast, like composite 3 planets. All right, I think I can answer that. Let's see, Joanne. Earlier in the video, your prediction was that Bernie would win the election. Michael Moore, interviewed on Fireline, said the same thing. What happened to change your mind? Right. So why did I first think Bernie would do well, would could win the nomination, and then I became more pessimistic? This is true. You're really watching my videos. I'm impressed, Joanne. It's true. I first was more optimistic, and then I said I think Bernie's running into trouble, and an increasing chance he will not get the nomination, and that Biden will get it, which is exactly where things are headed. So why did I change my mind? That's a very good question. Um, I love when people are watching my videos to that much detail. It's great. Nancy, how do adding things like nodes and asteroids impact frequency finder? Oh, that's a good one. How do things like nodes and asteroids affect frequency finders results? I can answer that. Linda's here, of course, but I think it's a straightforward answer that both of us will give basically the same answer to. I found that, David, but I am looking for interpretation on wheel with pop-up box. Okay. How to add to your chart and how to get pop-up interpretation. We don't have the pop-up interpretation, unfortunately, but I'll answer it later. Yeah, Linda, if you want to type in an answer about how nodes and asteroids will affect frequency finder, you can. What time did I say I would start up? 10:58. I'm going to take a 3-minute break. I think I said 10:58. I don't remember what I said. So I'm going to take a 3-minute break and I'll be right back. Okay. All right, we're going to start in 1 minute. Everybody back? Just going to wait till this thing says 10:58 and start up again. There it is, 10:58. Okay, guys, everybody back? And we have 1 hour left to just answer any questions you have. You know, one question that had come up, let me answer this question that had come up earlier, was there were some questions about exactly what was Giselle showing. Some people seem to be a little confused about it. So what was Giselle showing in the results? Let me just make sure this is, because it's so simple, that it's clear to everybody, let me explain it this way. Suppose you have 5 people and their height is 5'7", 5'7", 5'8", 5'8", and 5'9". And then I have 5 other people, 5 others, and their heights are 5'7", 5'8", 5'9", 5'9", and 5'10". Okay? You all follow me? I have 2 groups of people. One 5'7", 5'7", 5'8", 5'8", 5'9". The other group is 5'7", 5'8", 5'9", 5'9", 5'10". Question. Um, is the second group really the same height as the first group? With trivial differences? I mean, because randomly people vary in height, so it's just sort of, is it just sort of random fluctuation, or is the second group taller? Are they really taller or not? This is the question. What do you think? If you saw this data, what would you think? Now, I could make another group where they're 6'3", 6'5", and they would obviously be taller. But in a case like this, where you're slightly consistently taller or the same, do you think it's just random fluctuation? And I mean, if I just got one other guy who was like 5'10" on this side, what do you think? Right? So anyway, that's what statistics is. Statistics tells you what the probability of getting this difference is. And that's what Giselle was doing, was seeing that we made a bipolar astrosignature. We're saying this combination of things inclines somebody to be bipolar, and we compare how high they score, how much of these bipolar things they have, the mania patterns and the depression patterns, and then we compare it to other groups. And we find out that overall it's like 1 in several million possibility. It means we built a model that's impressive, that the bipolar people are really different. So the statistics just tells you the probability that these are real differences. Is that clear to everybody? Did everybody know that? I don't know. It's a very, very simple idea. That's why we're so excited. Okay, let me go on to the other questions. By the way, everybody hears me, right? We're good? Okay. Should I check my microphone? Okay, so you hear me. All right. All right, here are the questions you guys have typed in, we've got one more hour. Is a prime more significant than a non-prime harmonic? That's a good question. I don't know how to answer it. What I would say is this. I don't think of it exactly in those terms. Here's how I would answer it, is that the meaning of the harmonics, let's call them vibrations, the meanings of the vibrations, just because I prefer that word to harmonic, the meaning of the vibrations is based on prime numbers. It's not so much that a vibration that's non-prime is less important. It's not less important. So I guess the answer to this question is no, depending on what you mean by significant. It's not more significant in the chart, but it's more significant, and that's where the meaning comes from. So what is the meaning of the 21 vibe? Anybody want to tell me? What is the meaning? You already know. You already know. And what behavior is likely? Give me examples of behavior we will get from 21 vibration. It's so simple. The meaning is 7 and 3. So 7 is interior, 3 is a smooth flow. So there's some kind of introverted smooth flow. What behavior is likely? Ice skating. Let's just say ice skating, etc. Ice skating is kind of classic. Because think of a skater. You know, they're so focused. They're so in their inner world. They're so, they're doing these twirls and flips, and it's so elegant, it's so smooth. And they get graded on the smoothness and the flow of it. It is an archetypal 21 vibration behavior. And when you look at the great skaters, what vibration shows up? 21 vibration, with Mercury, Mars, Saturn, etc. So you can see their gift for this. Okay, swimming underwater, yeah. So does that make sense to everybody? So the big deal about prime numbers is that that's where the meaning comes from. Let's do one more example. Sun 44 vibe Uranus. I'm just doing 2 planets. We really like to see 3 planets, like a Sun, Saturn, Uranus. But just to keep it simple, what does it mean? What does it mean? Restlessness that results in manifestation. Yes. And how does square manifest? It manifests through effort, through it doesn't manifest easily. It's not like, poof, woo, look at this. I am a concert pianist. I'm just gifted. No, you're practicing, you're pushing, you're trying to turn a corner. There's a fight. There's a struggle with squares. It's how we move forward. It's how we get classical pianists. There's something in people that likes to fight to get there, to be that great pianist, to be that great vibrational astrologer, to whatever it is. That feeling of so Sun 44 vibration Uranus is inclined to be extremely unstable. More unstable than 11 because it's very spontaneous, low impulse control, less than with 11 because it's 11 times 4. They just can't sit still. They got a rockin' pneumonia, got a rhythm and blues. They're just a rockin' and a rollin' and they're shouting the blues. Come over Beethoven and tell Tchaikovsky the news. You gotta really rock it. I mean, these people are nuts. they're just going to shake the whole place. They can't sit still. They're going to get out that electric guitar. You feel it? That's what I call moving into the chart. That's what's happening when Sun is in 44 vibration with Uranus. Very different from our skaters. Okay, so when we interpret the chart, I did that little crazy thing there because that's actually how I interpret a chart. When I'm interpreting a chart and I see Sun 44 vibe Uranus, I don't go to myself, think to myself, 44 is 11 times 4. It's very unstable. No, I'm going like this. I'm becoming the chart. That's how I interpret it. I just become it. I get that 21 vibration and I feel like I can skate so beautifully and I just love it. I just become the chart. I get tired of being myself. I just become the chart. That's how I do it. Does it make sense? Okay. So that was to um, to answer this question. The prime numbers are the foundation, but it's the way they combine together that creates the impact in the chart. It's amazing. Vibrational astrology is now so accurate, so precise, that when you sit down with a client and you see the Sun, Saturn, Uranus T-square in the 11 vibration, means they're in 44 vibration, and you just say to them, how are you able to sit still? Did you get through elementary school okay? And usually the client will begin to cry because nobody ever understood how difficult it was to sit in that classroom. You all following me? Victoria's missing some of the sound. Does the sound good for everybody else? Okay. Okay. Well, you'll get the recording if you're missing anything. Okay. Now, next question. Could I do a day-long webinar on astrolocality? Sure. After September, I'm not doing, I am speaking for various astrology groups, uh, and but as far as doing anything additional, it'll be after September. Something like this could be done. So if you're interested in something like this, maybe it could be organized. In the past, I have not gotten a good turnout, frankly. We're not the greatest advertisers in the world, so I'm not sure. Um, how much. Also, I have to say the videos are amazing, and they're free. So we can see, if there's interest in that kind of thing. Um, okay, so I don't know. It's possible if there's enough interest. Next question: planetary pictures and isotraps in VA. So this is a very good question, very good point. I've mostly talked about aspects and midpoint structures. There are other things. There are isotraps. So for example, um, if I want to know what's going on right now, so we did this, and there's something we call the Kepler Club. It's $35 a year. If you don't know about it, you can join the Kepler Club for $35 a year. And we meet once a month for 2 hours. So if I go to astrosoftware.com and go to other services, members club, and here's the information to join what we call the Kepler Club. And it's just a meeting for 2 hours every month, $35 a year. And it's so you can ask me anything about the software, anything, and I answer your questions for 2 hours. So it's a nice way to get personal information about using the software that's not like a bug or a tech support thing, and you want to interact with us, not just watch the video. So it's a very cool thing. Well, in one of the Kepler Club meetings recently, question came up predicting what will happen with the pandemic. And so I'll show you the use of planetary pictures, also known as isotraps, for predicting major trends. So you can use it in natal charts, compatibility, but I'll show you with forecasting. We go to forecasting, do a timeline format, and we'll look at what's going on in the sky. Transit to transit means what's happening in the sky. And I'm going to set up my own unique thing. So I'm going to go over here to asteroids only, because I don't want to mess up any of my standard ones. So this asteroids only is a good place to just create your own wild thing you're experimenting with. And I'll just use this one, minor aspects and midpoints. So these are different settings. I'm going to use asteroids only, minor aspects and midpoints, and I'll go to customize planets and aspects. Well, I don't want these 4 major asteroids. I don't want the moon, it moves too fast. Sun, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto. Okay, good. And also there are planets for midpoint to midpoint, for midpoints, and I'm going to select the same thing. So I'm going to select the planets I want, and for aspects, that's fine. I'll select all these aspects, and conjunctions and oppositions, midpoint structures. Then I'm going to go over here to midpoints. I'm going to select planet to midpoint and midpoint to midpoint. A midpoint to midpoint is known as a planetary picture. So it's also called, in vibrational astrology, we call it an isotrap. So midpoint, conjunct, or opposition, another midpoint, has 3 different names. Probably more than 3 names, but 3 names are midpoint to midpoint, because that's what it is. You say midpoint, conjunct, Sun, Moon, midpoint is conjunct, Venus, Mars, midpoint. Midpoint to midpoint. It's also called a planetary picture in Uranian astrology, and in vibrational astrology we call it an isotrap, which is short for isosceles trapezoid because that's what the shape is. It's a very, very, very powerful 4-planet combination. So I'm going to do midpoint to midpoint. I'm not going to check this box, which limits it down to certain ones. I'm just going to do all of them. And let's run it for this month of March, or let's do it for next month. Or that's fine. We'll just do it for this month. And I'll click OK, and let's see what we get. And it tells us that this Mars-Uranus midpoint, / means midpoint, is conjunct the Sun-Mercury midpoint, exact on March 1st, and then again on March 13th. So right now, the Sun-Neptune midpoint is conjunct the Sun-Uranus midpoint today, March 30th. And it's been staying with an orb for a long time. So this means that there's a lot of romantic vision going on, a lot of dreaminess, also a lot of high sensitivity. So this is bad for the pandemic, because people, whenever you get Uranus and Neptune, people are highly sensitized. Sun-Uranus is spontaneous, it's not very stable. Hormonal systems, Venus, are sensitive, so it's not very good news for the pandemic. High sensitivity, and things like that. This is helpful. Jupiter, Saturn, midpoint, conjunct Mars, Pluto. This is very good. This shows that some of the governments are instituting solid procedures. Hospitals are responding. There's some good positive response likely to be happening now for 3 or 4 or 5 days. Jupiter, Saturn's organized. Mars, Pluto is kick butt. We're going to get this kick butt. We're going to get things organized. We're going to get people making ventilators. Let's stop fooling around. Let's kick butt and do it, man. So you can see what the vibes are and what's happening. So right now there's some good news and bad news for this. And these are global tendencies, and of course it will vary in different countries and different regions. But it's an example of using midpoint to midpoint. A midpoint to midpoint creates an isotrap pattern which looks like this. Anyway, all this is in videos. I probably don't need to be doing tutorials on this here because you can watch all of the videos on it, but it makes a shape that looks like this, except I'm drawing it terrible. It's supposed to be perfectly symmetrical. Anyway, I'm not drawing it very well. These sides should have the same, you know, same angle between them. I'm making a mess. But you get the idea, I think. Creates a shape like that. It's a triangle with the top cut off. Okay, well anyway, I hope that helps. That's just another area, you know, I can't go into any detail. We have entire hour-long videos and other things that explain, but it's an example of how you can use the timeline format to see what isotraps are forming. Okay, next question. How do you put Hygeia and Interomnia in your chart, and how do you get a pop-up interpretation? So putting them in the chart, there's nothing to it. You just right-click, go to Customize, go to on the Planets tab, you go to Asteroids, Lots, Nodes, and you just select it. If you don't see it here, you click on Change. So there's Hygeia. I just put Hygeia in the wheel. There's Interomnia. If you want something that's not showing up here, you click on Change. Say you want Eris or whatever. Just type it, select it, click OK, and it adds Eris. And if the asteroid is not installed, so if I put Joseph Church, asteroid 22,666, and I click OK, it tells me this is not installed. Do you want to install it? I say yes. It just went to Switzerland, found a computer in Switzerland, found the file, downloaded it, put it on my computer, and now I select it. So you can select any asteroid. Space age, technology. Now, if I click on Neptune, whoops, let me click OK, OK, I get a pop-up interpretation of Neptune in Libra, Neptune in the 7th house, Neptune aspects. But if I click on Interomnia, nothing happens. So that pop-up interpretation feature is not available yet for those objects, unfortunately. Yeah, so one of the jokes or saying about our software is it's great software, but nobody knows about it. Well, they should know about it from our YouTube videos, but we just focus on making it, not doing a lot of song and dances about it. But it does have awesome features a lot of people never realize are there. Okay, I got rid of that accidentally. Okay, but that answers the question about it. We don't have interpretations for them. So you click on it, nothing happens. That's the way it is. So let me go down to this one. I'll come back to this later. Why did I think Bernie could win the nomination for this election that's going on right now? And then I became more pessimistic. So I made a video and I said Bernie's going to do better than expected. He's not going away. Bernie is not fading away. He's going to be around. And then a few weeks later, I made a video and I said, well, Bernie's starting to make some mistakes, and his day in the sun may be ending. If he fixes his mistakes, he's got a better chance. And that's exactly what happened. He came on strong, and everybody said, oh my God, Bernie's going to win. And then Biden came from out of nowhere. And I had anticipated the likelihood of that, not the definite. And so this is how I predicted it. I look at what the vibrations are and how well the people express them. And the 13 vibration that's very strong means that those people who make clear, strong, definitive statements and can get people to agree with them will win. Being pleasant and accommodating loses. So Biden got feisty and came out fighting. So I said, whoa, he's getting to be a tough dude. That means he's going to do better. He didn't stumble on his words too much. Um, so he's going to go up. And then Bernie started not making a strong enough case that of what democratic socialism is. That socialism is against the 13 vibe and it will not win. So he has to make it clear that everybody's a socialist, that Trump is a socialist, and that his socialism is just a different kind of socialism that instead of working against, but he didn't make it clear, sharp, fast, hard, and tough enough. And people just, kept labeling him as, not how far is he going to take this? Is it just medicine and it won't win? Now, I make my predictions have nothing to do with what I want. I happen to be an extreme political person, but I predicted that Trump would probably win the election, not because I wanted him to. I didn't want Hitler to become leader. It has nothing to do with what I like or don't like or anything like that. I can just see what will work and what will not work. And Bernie was not handling the energy quite right, and I knew it would hurt him. And the internal 9 vibration of the establishment Democratic Party was coming on very, very strong with the support for the Obama-Biden style. So anyway, it's based on observing how people respond to the energy flow. I'm convinced that we can, if we consult people, we can make them win. We can have them win. I've done it every time. I've seen how Hillary threw away the election 2 days before the election. I said, oh my God, Hillary just threw away the election. This is insane. She could actually lose. And she did. Because she did all the wrong things. All the wrong things. Everything you should not do is what she did in the last few days. Oh, I can go over that. But the astrology does not actually predict what will happen. It predicts what the energy flow is and what people need to do. And if you do what the energy flow wants, you win, and if you don't, you lose. Is that clear? Okay. What did Hillary do to lose the election? Okay, you might get angry at me and you might want to throw tomatoes at your computer, but I don't care. I don't really, it has nothing to do with what I want or what I think is right. It's just the facts of the energy. Hitler became the leader of Germany. None of us want that. So I'll tell you what she did. What she did is she had Stevie Wonder and what's her name from Atlanta? She's supposed to be hot and sexy. On stage. She's on the tip of my tongue. Beyonce. So she had Beyonce and all these people on stage giving concerts for her final rallies, and I watched it on TV. And I saw that. I said, she is about to lose the election. This is the stupidest, idiotic thing you could ever do. This will almost guarantee you will lose. Why? What's wrong with Beyonce? What's wrong with Stevie Wonder? I think Stevie Wonder is a genius. I love Beyonce. Has nothing to do with me. But she lost the election because of Beyonce and Stevie Wonder, and even worse than that, oh my God, because they're filthy lyrics. Do you want your daughter or son to be singing about getting smacked around and not standing up straight? and looking like they're doped out or something? Is that what you want your son and daughter to be? No. 99% of Americans saying, no, I don't want that. Period. End of story. Now, you might hate me. Go ahead, hate me. I don't care. But I predicted that she was very likely to lose because it's 13 vibration time. 13 vibration time means no political correctness, stand up, stand straight, be somebody. It's bad enough that she was speaking to corporate America and everything else she was doing and playing nice political games. Of course, Bernie was going up. Bernie's going to hit you square between the eyes. You know who you're dealing with. No funny business with Bernie. That's who's going to win. Same thing with Trump. I predicted Trump would get the nomination when everybody on the right and left said he wouldn't. Because he hits you square between the eyes, he plays all kinds of crazy games and he lies, but it doesn't matter. He comes across as a 13 vibe person, where all the other politicians are looking at each other and deciding what they're supposed to say to win. So anyway, you can see how the energy is flowing, you can see how people are responding to it, and you can see what will happen. Does that make sense? Okay. Exactly, Bill. Exactly. Wrong harmonic for the wrong time. She was playing her 9 vibration game, which is what she does, and her Jupiter 11 vibration game where they think they can do regime change and all this, and it's just not going to work. So anyway, you can just look at it and you can see how people are channeling the energy and what people are responding to and what will work. Biden came on strong. He stands straight. He looks presidential. Um, he made his points. His connection with Obama became obvious, and all of the 9 vibration people who want community, who want healing, said, "This is what I want." I saw it coming. It was really obvious. But Bernie could have done much better. Okay, anyway, it's fun to talk about politics, but the important thing here is that what vibrational astrology tells us is how energy is flowing and what you must do to win. And you can just look at it and just take yourself out of it. When I do stuff, I'm not a Democrat, I'm not a Republican, I'm not a male, I'm not a female, I'm just nothing. I just move into the energy and feel what it's doing. And then it becomes obvious. Okay, so that's why I became more pessimistic. Bernie did not do the right things. Enough. A little bit, but not enough. Okay, so anyway, I happen to be a Bernie supporter. So for me, it's sad. And I didn't want to say it, but it's true. Okay. Yeah, the 2020 vibration, we stay in a 13 vibe until about 2024. It means kick butt invention, discovery, integrity, no political compromise, no political correctness wins the day. And I knew AOC was going to skyrocket as soon as she appeared on the scene. She's not going away, ever. 13 vibe. She has 13 times 9, which is really wonderful. We could look at her chart. Anyway, what other questions do we have? I think I answered that, and I don't want to get bogged down in politics, but it helps you understand how we use the astrology. It's all about energy flow and where things are trying to move. Um, question about how does it affect Frequency Finder? And Linda writes, I just need to add in the nodes and asteroids to the program and be able to add them into the calculation. David and I are talking about how to add that information. Right. So what happens is as we make new discoveries on how to use the nodes, the importance of these specific minor planets, then the software catches up to the discoveries. So the Linda's frequency finder attaches on to our software. I'll document that for Linda and she will add it in and probably make it optional and allow you to develop different models. So every time we discover something, we make more work for ourselves because we need to program it, develop it. So it's all, synergistic, all works together. Um, So gradually Frequency Finder will adapt to the new insights. It all takes time. Okay. Um, all right. So, yes, AOC Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has an enormous 13 times 9 vibration. 9 means community. It means what we share together. 13 means innovate, break free, and it's the Green New Deal. And she will never give up on it because it's core to who she is. Okay. Um, whether people agree with it and catch on, we don't know. But when you have a pattern that strong, your voice will not disappear. That much is clear. Okay, what other questions do we have? We've got a half hour. I think I've skipped some of your questions, but I can't see what I've missed. So type them in again. Let's see the 13 times 9 for AOC. Sure. I don't know if she's in this database. Um, well, it'll take a second. I have to go to Astrodata to get it. We're going to have a new database released in a few months that has the latest data. Well, anyway, let's just move on to something else. The bar graph Giselle used, how to create it. Okay, good. Let's just go through any kinds of things that pop into your head. So the bar graph Giselle created was done by this. You go to research, this magnifying lens with Jupiter and Saturn, and you go to exploratory research. This button right here, exploratory assumptionless research. This is one of our main tools because we just want to explore what's going on. And then we take a group of charts. Right now I've got Gauquelin Scientist, must be the last thing I was looking at. And you can click on Change Category, select a more specific category, and then select whatever group of charts. And of course for Giselle, she selected the bipolar charts. But suppose we want to see the Gauquelins collected data on scientists. Let's see if they have anything happening with Mercury Saturn. What do you guys think? Mercury Saturn, Mercury Uranus? Let's see what's happening. And we can just do an angular distance. I'll click on calculate and you'll see what it does. And this shows the distance between Mercury and Saturn for the scientists from 0 to 180 degrees. And there's the bar graph. Actually, since these are angular distances, it might be nice to look at it as a line graph. So for this particular thing, I'll click on line graph, and I can do each degree. So the Mercury-Saturn scientists tend to have Mercury and Saturn about 44 degrees apart. And also it looks like 39 degrees. And down on the previous screen, I get the exact numbers. So you can look at these peaks. They seem to peak rather suddenly. Now I can also smooth it. I can go over here and smooth it. And it gives me a smoothed effect. And it looks like they have Mercury and Saturn between about 162 degrees to 168 degrees. Pretty high. So you can just look at it. Here's a peak, here's a double peak. I can smooth it more and see what kind of peaks are showing up. This is at about 105 degrees. One of the aspects Bill mentioned shows up in financial changes. So you can explore the data. Rather than say to yourself, do scientists have Mercury trine Saturn? Why not just look at the distribution? And you get much more information. Here's the trine right here. The answer is no. But now I'm able to explore the data. It also looks like the graph is going down. Like maybe Mercury Saturn closer to conjunction is better than opposition. You can explore the data and see if it makes sense. Um, Now I can go back to this previous screen, and instead of looking at angular distance, I can look at harmonic. And I can see what harmonics Mercury and Saturn are in. And I see 29, 33. I can also go back here and compare to the random distribution to make sure that the random distribution of planets is not biasing what I'm looking at. And the red are the actual scores, and I can see these two red at 28 and 29 going way above the random distribution. 28 is one of the numbers we expect. 29 is surprising. I don't know why 47 would peak. So some of these may be random fluctuations that are meaningless, but you try to see if you can find something as an expert astrologer. Can you make sense of the data? This is what data mining is about. You get a great astrologer and you show them the data. You can do it yourself. And if you are really observant and you have some kind of great idea, you might see some kind of pattern in the data that matches something that makes sense. So that's what she did. She went to the bipolar people and she said, boy, I bet they've got some kind of Jupiter-Uranus. Let's see what vibe it is. She goes in here, and here I'm comparing the red to the random. The red is the actual. And I'm seeing that for scientists, a little bit of 18, nothing's 42. That's just because it's a 7 vibration. Scientists tend to have 7-based vibrations of anything, is my theory about that. So that's what it is. You're exploring the data. Because remember what I said at the beginning, that medicine, the Rand Corporation found that medicine was unscientific. People just make things up based on what was handed down from previous doctors. And it's very difficult to know what actually works. So you do some kind of data-based, it's at least the data supports it. If you say scientists have Mercury trine Saturn, and they have Mercury sextile Saturn because you did charts of 3 scientists who have that aspect, we can go in here and let's look at the line graph because it's easier to look at. Oh, I've got both graphs going on. Let me simplify it by doing no daily transit distribution. Run it again for Mercury Saturn. Fortunately, it does it extremely fast. Look at the line graph. Go down to the detail. And here's the trine. Actually, scientists tend to not have Mercury and Saturn trine. It's actually a low, medium to low. How weird is that? So this shows us that we shouldn't be saying that, even if you did 2 or 3 charts of scientists and they had Mercury trine Saturn. We can look at the data and see that there's not really strong support for the idea. If we can get some support for it, then yes, go ahead and say it because it's got some evidence to it. Doesn't mean it's right, it just means it has some evidence. That's called evidence-based. A little bit is better than nothing. That's the theory now. A little bit of evidence is at least we're not making this up. Does that make sense to everybody? And then as our research gets better and better and better, oh my God, things just pop out. And that's why when Giselle did the research and she looked at Jupiter-Uranus and Mars-Uranus, an 11 vibe was popping out, plus 22, 33. I cannot tell you the ecstasy of this. I mean, It's ecstatic because you're actually seeing um, what we expect. Would that make sense? And then we create the astro signature, we test the probability, and do the whole thing. It was a massive, massive undertaking. Okay, all right. So that's the answer to that question. How did you get to this? Was part of the initial exploratory research. Then from the exploratory research, you build an astro signature and you run it for the actual bipolar people. And here's where you make control groups. Make data for statistical software or a control group. And here you create a control group. And you select a category um, that you want a control group for. You select a category to put it in, and then you create the control group. And I can put it into one of the My Data categories. Um, and then I create the control group. This is not updated. I think I have not updated the program. I think it now will ask you how many shuffles you want to do. I have not installed the latest update. So we improved this and made it extremely uh, good, perfected the way it creates the control group. So Giselle's research forced me to improve that feature and make it better. This control group that you create by shuffling the data is actually um, overly conservative, we call it. It's more like the actual data than you would actually get by randomly selecting people. So if you get good results with this control group, you've really found something. It's the people match closer to the original than people could ever in real life. So anyway, it's an incredibly what we call conservative control group, which means if you get good results with this control group, you really have something. A lot of what we do in research is not black and white. It's it's building a model and evaluating the data. Okay. Next question. The 13 vibe year comes from Neptune Pluto. Right. So the big 13 vibe now is Neptune and Pluto. I don't want to go into it. I have videos on it. You can go to YouTube, type Neptune, Pluto, David Cochrane or something, and I have entire videos that explain how we see the changing vibrations and how Neptune and Pluto set the tone. Okay. All right, we've got 15 minutes. Um, Boy, we've covered a lot of territory this morning, haven't we? About the roots of vibrational astrology, why we think it's a revolution, some of the details. You can see that it's at a very, very sophisticated level. The theory, the application, the academic level of it, it's all become very, very advanced. And what's making it advanced is all these different people jumping in. The thousands of hours Giselle and Clarissa and Linda and other people are putting into the research, sorting things out, using it with our clients, meeting with us, reporting what they're finding. It's moving very fast now. Okay, what other questions you guys have? Anything? Since we're mentally exhausted after a weekend, anything. Doesn't have to be a strictly VA. Okay, Jonathan. I have two strong direct midpoint structures, but they aren't listed in the direct midpoint structures and harmonic 1 through 128 listing. Um, well, that sounds like a bug. That shouldn't happen. Jonathan, maybe we should look at it. I mean, if you have a strong direct midpoint structure, it's going to show up when we look at it. You could give me the birth data and what's missing, but um, it should be there. Um, yeah, no, I mean if something's there, it should show up in the listings. or maybe our listings are not sensitive to the listings you're looking at. Um, how do you find them easily in Frequency Finder? Um, all right, let's look at the specifics for Jonathan and see what he's talking about. That's another thing, Linda could give a 1-day workshop on Frequency Finder, or a 3-hour workshop, I think would be fabulous. I mean, there's so many things we're going to be doing. Um, and August 25, 1970. Whoops, I didn't type it in right. Try that again. August 25, 1970. 8:48 p.m. Syracuse. Okay, great, Jonathan. If I type that in correctly, you've got 29 Pisces, 29 rising. And what's the midpoint structure that you're not seeing? Just tell me one of them. Um, and so the astrovibe.org, it's still under construction, but whoops, sorry, I'm messing everything up here. In the future, it's not completely implemented yet, but in the future, when you want to know what's going on with vibrational astrology, you can go to astrovibe.org, and we will have uh, current events, so learning resources, VA astrologer certification. It's still under development, but at some point this is going to be developed and maintained. Um, and there will be an organization with a fee to be a part of, but also just come in here, see who's giving classes, who's giving lectures, who does VA consultations, etc. And here's the Journal of Vibrational Astrology. We have this setup. We haven't started putting the articles in here regularly yet. But this will become the source. Just go to astrovibe.org, find out who's teaching classes, who's giving lectures, what's going on. It'll all be brought together at this point. We've got so many projects going on, developing the certification exam, the study guides. So, those have been given higher priority right now. But eventually all this will be in place. So, Jonathan, direct midpoint structure, Uranus at Venus, Pluto, 26 minutes. So if that's in the birth chart, we should be able to go to midpoints. Uranus at Venus, Pluto, 26 minutes. So, okay, so it is showing up as important. But I guess what you're asking, so there it is. And but I guess you're wanting to scan through the different vibrations and pick out the strong midpoint structures within the different vibrations, is what I'm guessing you want to do, which is the kind of thing that Frequency Finder does. Doesn't register in listings. Yeah, I don't think we have a listing that will show you this. The only way in Sirius that we see the midpoint structures is when we pull up the vibrational chart or natal chart and we see it. We don't have anything that's scanning through and comparing in some kind of way. You can email me some ideas on and also CC Linda, email both of us on what this listing is that you're imagining and how you would like it to look and what you're trying to get out. It might be good to email it to us. But right now, yeah, there's no way to do that except Frequency Finder. It does have some features to help with this, and I'm not sure if they would be exactly what you want. But I think we need to correspond about it. I think if you email me and Linda, let's brainstorm about it and see what we can do. I'll give Linda the mic so she can talk about what you could do with. Okay, Linda, you have the mic.
Okay, David?
Yeah.
What he's talking about is for this to show up in harmonic patterns listing number 8, and he's saying that this particular midpoint doesn't show up, and it's probably because it's not conjunct in the first 128 vibes.
Okay, so if I go to harmonic patterns listing number, oh, yes, okay, thank you, Linda. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, that explains it. So harmonic patterns listing number 8 and 9, if you want to include the ascendant midheaven, will tell you what vibration this is in. Thank you. Yes, I didn't think of it. It's a beautiful and wonderful feature. And so we click on it. Now I understand Jonathan's question. It's an excellent question. And it's not here. It says Mercury conjunct Sun Venus, Mars conjunct Moon. No, no, no. What bloody happened to our Uranus at Venus Pluto? It's not showing up to tell me what vibration it's in. And the reason for that, Linda just explained, but I'll repeat it, is that it tells us that this goes up within a 2-degree orb to the 128th harmonic. So going up to the 128th harmonic, the Uranus at Venus Pluto is not in any harmonic. It's out of orb. Now, at some point, hopefully very, very soon, I'm going to expand this 128 to go up to at least 360, and maybe there is some higher vibration that it's in. But it's possible that because of the distances between Uranus, Venus, and Pluto, they are not in any vibration. They're not in any clear vibration up to 128. But 128 isn't high enough. We need to go at least to 360. So after
Okay,
my well, let me just say, after my current students graduate in September, I will not be doing a lot of teaching. I might do a little bit. Linda and Clarissa and other people will be doing that because I want to be focusing on adding these features, endless numbers of features. We need to get the software up closer to all the discoveries and insights, and it's lagging far behind relative to what we could be doing. So that's where a lot of my attention will go. Okay, go ahead, Linda.
It's just to clarify a little bit, it's where these 3 planets are conjunct within 16 degrees, which vibration they will show as conjunct in. And Jupiter, Uranus, and Neptune, or whichever ones it was, those 3 planets do not have a conjunction in the first 128 vibrations.
Thank you so much. That's exactly, precisely correct. So even though Jonathan has this very strong Uranus of Venus Pluto, which is usually loves music, very passionate. So he's got this very strong, and we want to know what vibration it's in. They're not in any vibration up to 128. They're not within 16 degrees. We could add an option, to make it weaker, but usually we use about 16 degrees. So it's not picking up any clear, specific vibrational quality. Now, if we go up to 360, maybe it does. And I desperately need to add that to expand that because it's important. He says, I love music. Well, I knew it, Jonathan. I knew it just not from having met you a few times. But when you have Uranus of Venus Pluto with a 26-minute orb, music is necessary. Rhythm, some upbeat, something that gets hold of you. It's absolutely necessary because the energy system is vibrating. Uranus has a wave feeling to it. And Venus Uranus it's actually the waves of music. It's also, not to get too graphic here, but it's the rhythm of sexuality as well. And so there's a spark there that's going. You'll often find, because I know that Jonathan works at a university and academic environment, it's interesting. You'll find a lot of people who have things like Uranus, Venus, Pluto are writing papers, doing discoveries while the music's playing. It's like Richard Feynman would go to the bar and all this music is going on or whatever, and he's discovering the next level of quantum theory. But it kind of excites the whole system, and sometimes great work is done while the music's going. You're not even registering all of it, but it's while that beat of the music is moving, the brain cells are moving with it. So, yes, I love to have music on while working. Yeah, and it can lead to a lot of great discoveries and insights. Because everything is intelligent, your cells are intelligent, and it makes your whole hormonal system and your aspiration vibrate, and it can help strengthen the mental functioning. It augments it. Anyway, there's a lot of things we understand from vibrational astrology that are very, very specific, and you would never know unless you've been doing this day in and day out for decades. Yeah, it's just remarkable the things you can tell people and how helpful it is. Yeah, they look to have a circuit in the 55 vibration. Let's check this out. We're running out of time, but I think this is fun. Let's look at his 55 vibration. And Pluto, Venus, and Uranus. Yes. Now, let's end this whole weekend with an IQ test. Venus, Uranus, and Pluto are sharing a vibration. Have you ever written music? You should. But anyway, they are in a vibration. Why did our listing not detect it? Pluto is 3/8 aspect. That's a sesquiquadrat to Uranus. Pluto is in a 3/8 aspect to Venus. And Venus is square Uranus. Why did harmonic listing number 8 not pick this up? They are connected in 55 vibration. Let's see how smart you guys are. Did you learn anything? Why did it not pick it up? Here's why. What vibration are Venus, Uranus, and Pluto in? The vibration they're in is 55 times 8. So you take the vibration of the aspect. This is a 3/8 aspect. You take the denominator, which is 8. This is a 8 vibration aspect in the 55 vibration. The actual vibration of Venus, Uranus, and Pluto, let's go to a calculator, or I'll just use the one in the series program. Let's go to the calculator and type 55 times 8. It's the 440th vibration. Now I'm going to prove it to you. Yeah, it's not a grand trine. This is not a trine. This is a 3/8. 3/8 aspect, 135 degrees. Now watch this. This better work or I'm going to be very embarrassed. I'm going to go to harmonic chart and I'm going to type 440. What's going to happen? What's going to happen? Oh, Donna, that's so cool. Anyway, Donna Page just blew my mind, but I'll stay on track here. I'm going to go to 440. Venus, Uranus, and Pluto conjunct with a 9-degree orb. They are actually in the 440 vibration. And in the 55 vibration, they appear as 55, which is the vibration of the chart, times 8. 55 times 8. If I multiply 55 times 8, it goes to 440. So I really need to take that harmonic listing number 8, and go up to 720, and then it would have shown up. It would have shown up as a 440. This gives tremendous creativity, fantastic creativity. Jonathan is not a dullard, to put it mildly. He's got some interesting ways of seeing things, and very, very perceptive in music. He probably picks up when the oboe comes in and this and that and this syncopated rhythm, and wow. And he's a very interesting guy, Venus, Uranus, Pluto. So anyway, you play the saxophone. Okay, well, I was hoping you played an instrument, because you need to. And yeah, your creativity with music is just so totally awesome. I'd like to hang out with you in the evening and listen to your listen to your as we used to say in the old days, your record collection. But it's true, right, Jonathan? I'm saying nice things about you, but it's true. It's extremely true. How the heck do I know this stuff? He says it's totally true. He's not being proud, because vibrational astrology works. I already know this. I already, if he comes to the next conference, I'd like to steal an evening and just have him play music and explain to me what he loves. I mean, it will be incredible. Also, it draws him to vibrational astrology, because vibrational astrology is music. It's the music of the cosmos. Yeah, I know you'd be happy too. It's so totally fun to share something that we love and that we have a gift for, right? It's not ego. So, yeah, Jonathan says, vibrational is totally music. Okay, my friends, well, I think this was a beautiful way to end. You could see how much fun, how exciting this is. So, yeah, beautiful experience. Next year we will be, God willing, we will have this live and online. I was very displeased with all the trouble we had with Adobe Connect, so we're going to try Zoom. Hope we can do everything. And if that doesn't work, we'll try something else. So, yeah, we're all full blast. Early March, the conference is happening. The excitement is here, and it's all of us together, right? That's the big thing I always like to share. Yeah, I'll take credit for lighting the fire. Fine. Okay, cool, whatever. I don't really care. But we are doing this together. It's exciting. I think we're creating a new world. That's it, my friends. I love all of you. Thank you so much. I'm alive. I did not die. Came close. I'm reborn. Life is good. We're going to just keep rocking and rolling. So, I love all of you. Thank you so much for coming. Georgia,
Thank you.
you know I love you.
Thank you very much.
So many of my dear friends here. And as we come to the conferences, yeah, Mary and Steve, thank you so much. You know I love you guys. Yeah. Let's keep it moving forward. Okay, guys, we're going to sign off here. Thank you for your patience, your support. We'll get you all logged in to watch the videos. Don't worry about it. Just email me and Faye, or Faye, either one of us, and we'll get your password working and all that. Okay, signing off. Thank you, thank you, thank you. God bless. Namaste.